There, it's Adam with Sound Balance Physical Therapy, and this month we've been talking about neck pain and headaches and how sometimes they're connected and sometimes they're not. Last week I told you a little bit about what happened to my neck and the pain that I got after running into a tree. And then we talked a little bit about the common causes of neck pain and headaches. Today we're going to talk about another one. Last week's was this flexed neck that we get sometimes when we're sitting either in the lazy boy recliners back like this or texting coming down this way, which just puts a load of strain on the lower neck, on the discs, and then a load of strain on the muscles. We call them suboccipitals right behind the neck. Now this week we're talking about one that's even more common than that. Now that one's very common with texting and things like that. This week we're talking about, instead of this tucked head like this, we're talking about a forward head where we end up like this, which a lot of people end up slouching. The lower cervical is flexed and then the upper cervical is extended. Now in the clinic I'll sometimes get people who come in with lower back pain, and then in the course of talking with them they'll say, you know, my neck hurts too, and I just can't figure out why. And when that happens, sometimes what we have is where someone is slouched over. If they're using a device like a cane or a walker, then they can be really hunched over. But sometimes people are just kind of hunched over because their back hurts, or they're just hunched over because that's the way their posture is. And what happens is their lower back is hunched, and then their mid to upper back is hunched, and then their lower cervical is forward flexed as well. And then to compensate for all of that, their upper cervical has to really crane back like this. And they'll say, I don't know why it hurts, but it just really hurts right through the back of my neck right here. Sometimes people get what we call wry neck, where it's just so stiff, it's been stuck there for such a long time. So you're stuck in this position. Now, if I just straightened everything else up and I kept my upper cervical in the position that it's in, essentially I'd be looking at the ceiling. And if someone walked in like this and said, I don't know why my neck hurts, everybody would recognize fairly quickly, it's because you're looking up, silly. But essentially, when you're forward head like this, in this position, you're looking up just to look forward. Now, you may think, well, I never get into that position, but I constantly see people typing like this. That's the most common culprit. But slouching over, watching television, slouching over at a table, and we just get stuck in this forward head position. So the risks here are many, but the two big ones are the lower cervical being flexed like that bulges a disc back, and you can get bulging discs in the neck, which can cause tingling and numbness to go down the arm into the fingertips, or even just down the arm, but frequently all the way down. And it'll sometimes be misdiagnosed as carpal tunnel because you'll have this tingling and numbness in the hand with both conditions. But this one is alleviated by changing the position of the neck, or worsened in the testing when we do that as well. So it can cause not only pain here, but pain and problems down the arm and into the hands. Now the second thing is that those muscles are suboccipitals, the muscles right behind the skull here, are extended. They're trying to hold you up all day. And so those muscles get really short and tight, and you can get little muscle spasms here, and then those cause pain and often headaches, again associated with retroorbital headaches, which is like an ice pick sensation going right into usually one eye, and usually you can feel kind of almost a connection between those two, but it'll come here, up over the head, and then settle in behind the eye, sometimes being mistaken as a migraine because it can cause nausea and vomiting and light sensitivity and sensitivity to smells and sounds as well. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, being in that double flex and extended position, it puts such a tremendous strain on that transition point. So we have a flexed head, a flexed lower neck, and an extended upper neck. So the lower part of your neck is doing this, and the upper part of your neck is doing this. Right at that hinge point, we can get where everything closes down so tight that it starts to put pressure on the joints, and that can lead to an arthritic neck, or you can lead to arthritis in the neck. Then you start to get that popping and grinding, those sounds that come along. A lot of people, they'll say, no, my neck doesn't really hurt, but it creaks or it pops when I turn from side to side, or I can feel it pop, or it feels like it needs to pop. Sometimes this can be the beginnings of arthritis as well. And so it's kind of a triple threat there. We can get the lower discs causing pain down the arm. We can get the upper muscle spasms causing headaches and eye pain in here. And we can also get arthritis, which is going to be a long-term, just an achiness in the neck, eventually where it's stiff and achy, especially in the morning, and it's hard to get going. Just a low level to moderate level pain all the time. So it's really something that you don't want to do. So just to correct that, what we want to do is start from all the way down in the core and all the way down in the pelvis. So we're going to tip the pelvis forward. What that's going to do is just sit us up nice and tall, and then we're going to just continue through there. If my pelvis is rocked backwards, it immediately puts me into this flexion. If I rock my pelvis forward, that's going to sit me up tall, and essentially I want to stack my ears right over my shoulders here so that there's no area where gravity can pull down on me. So that puts my head right here, makes it weigh only the 12 to 15 pounds that it is. The further forward we get to a point where it weighs about 60 pounds just because there's a lever. It's out, holding it out here instead of being stacked up here nice and gently on the head and neck. So the biggest thing to do there is just pay attention to your posture, work on getting your pelvis rocked forward, sitting up tall, keeping that neck right, the head right on the neck, right over the shoulders here. And that can start to alleviate some of your pain with this condition. Now, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, and we can discuss them either in the chat or another time. But what I'd like you to do is, if you're having problems with this, you're not quite sure what to do, or you try this sitting up taller and it's still not helping, it's not alleviating all of your pain, or it's not helping enough, we're opening up some slots for people to come in for a free consult. We call it a discovery session, where you can come in and I can take a look at your neck. We can do a little bit of treatment, and it's completely free. I just want to help get you on the right path. If you are a candidate for treatment, then you can stay, and if you want to decide to stay, then you can come in for treatments as well. If you're not a candidate for treatment, we can point you on the right path, or at least give you some exercises and some ideas to work on to continue to help, so you don't have to continue to deal with this problem. So go ahead and sign up. You can direct message us, or I'll try to put a link on here somewhere, so you can get a hold of us and get you in for a visit here in Puyallup. So that's it this week. Next week we're going to talk about one more major cause of neck pain, and you're not going to want to miss that one. So stay tuned next week, and I'll see you then.